We've been working really hard to make a great show for you, and we want to hear what you think. How can we make it better? What do you want to hear more of, and what do you want to hear less of? Give us your feedback at One Country, all one word, onecountryproject.com/feedback. It'll only take a couple minutes, and we really need and appreciate your input.
What do you think of the hot dish? We want your opinions. Go to onecountryproject.com/feedback and just answer a few questions so we can ensure this podcast delivers just what you want.
Welcome back to the Hot Dish, comfort food for rural America, and Happy New Year. I hope everyone listening had a nice break in the New Year's. Joel, how you feeling?
I'm feeling great. My first New Year's resolution I've already broke, so why not get it done first, right? I got to tell you, I'm happy to be here and excited for the new year. With the presidential election and the renewal of the Farm Bill on the table, 2024 is a big year for us in rural America.
Well, it's election year, obviously, but every election year is a chance to talk about rural America, where with people who otherwise may not care about rural America. And all of a sudden they think, oh, be nice if I got a few votes out of that part of the country. And so it's our chance to advance some great ideas for policy. It's our chance to talk about what's actually happening in rural America that's optimistic and, kind of path forward for growth. But an election year is a good year for us in rural America because people finally pay attention.
Well, and it's a good time to show them what matters, which is all the issues, the food on their table, and the people that are producing much of what they're using. And I think we do a poor job of that in rural America. And that's one thing we can do through the Hot Dish. We can get out there, we can show people what we're about, who we are, and really why we're no different than they are. We just make our money in a different way.
Yeah, and I mean, in part, they have an image of rural America. One of my goals has really been to dispel it, that the only thing that happens in rural America is agriculture. We have a huge emerging and revitalized soil manufacturing interest. And we've seen that in our country where Bobcat grew out of Winter, North Dakota. Bobcats are skid steer loaders. So let's not just get pigeonholed into it's all about, wheat crop and soybeans and corn and rice and beans or whatever it is that our producer grows. But there's a lot going on, a lot of innovation, a lot of thinking about that next generation of opportunities in rural America that we can talk about in 2024.
And I would add this, it's a place where everybody's welcome. In 2024, there's going to be people coming. They're going to come around. They're going to want to vote. They're going to want to shake hands, all of that. But get past that. For the people listening to Hot Dish, I don't care what you're coming for. It might be hunting, might be fishing, might be whatever. Well, those are just my interests. But, come on out to the rural area. It isn't just something that we talk about. It's something that we live.
We're talking with one of the most important leaders we have representing rural America's interest in Washington, D.C., and that is our 2023, let's have a drum roll, One Country Project Rural Champion Award winner, Senator Jon Tester. How could you not give that award to the only real farmer in the whole group of United States senators? Those of you who know Jon, he's famous for his flat top. He is famous for his videos on the work that he is doing on the farm. But mainly, he is famous for his straight-talking, no-nonsense approach to becoming a United States Senator and serving as a United States Senator. But I'm going to tell you, Jon, by way of introduction, something that maybe people don't appreciate about you, and that is your advocacy for veterans, or some people say veterans. We in North Dakota say veterans. You have been the go-to source. You have been the voice. And obviously, Montanans care a lot about the people in Montana, and a lot of them are veterans. But I think it just represents for me your commitment to honoring your word, the word that we give to the men and women who defend our freedom. It's a rural value that you bring, and you remind people every day of those values, especially through your advocacy for veterans.
Thank you. So I don't know where to start or where to end. First of all, thank you for the One Country Project World Champion Award. I appreciate that a ton. And I will tell you that as I travel around the country, I continually talk about my friends that are no longer in the United States Senate. One Heidi Heidkamp, one Claire McCaskill, and one Joe Donnelly for sure. And I just want to tell you that, things change and times change. But the truth is the country is not richer by not having you three in the United States Senate. I'll just tell you that. The work that you guys did, you talk about my work, but the truth is the work that you guys did was incredible. And I wish you were still here, but you're not. And now you're doing good work out in the private sector, making a difference. And I appreciate that, Heidi.
Thanks, John.
As somebody that, is still serving in the Senate and still trying to do things. We need folks like you out there talking about rural America and how important the policies we pass, how important it is for them to work in rural America. So I just want to thank you there.
So often people ask, what's the difference between, Republican foreign policy and Democratic foreign policy? And I've been thinking about it a lot lately. And, I think the work that we did in the Senate and you really represent this value. We had a Secretary of Agriculture who said, get big or get out.
Yep.
That's not what we think is good farm policy. If you
Nope.
grew up in a small town that relied on, a guy coming to town and buying a part here and there or going to the drugstore or, using the local implement dealership, that it's the small farmers that keep that operation going. So when you look at get big or get out, John, you've been advancing a lot of great policies, like the ability for farmers to fix their own equipment without voiding warranties. Can you talk about kind of where you see that get big or get out versus, let's support the producers who are out there making communities work?
So I think what we've seen with the folks when the Secretary said get bigger, get out, I think we saw a lot of folks get bigger and we saw a lot of folks get out for a number of reasons, for pricing reasons and other reasons. And what we've seen, the result of that is rural America is severely diminished. And so I couldn't agree with you more. I think it's bad policy, and I think it's an accurate policy too. And I think the land grant colleges are really important in this overall scheme of things, because if they can teach people how to farm without having to have 5, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50,000 acres of land, that's good. I mean, my wife and I, for a good many years, supported two families on 1,140 acres of land. And we did that because we maximized that ability on that farm. We raised hogs, we raised cows, we cut up some beef. For a while, I taught school. For a while, I did crop adjusting. You just did what you could do to make a few extra dollars to make things work. So you got to have a farm bill that works for those small producers. And if you don't have a farm bill that works for those small producers, they're going to go broke. Or if you have a farm bill that skews it for the big guys so they can pull in $300,000, $400,000, $500,000, $700,000 a year, not over 10, but a year, that skews it too. So we need to make sure that we have a farm bill that works. And by the way, it's one of the things that you worked on, I worked on, and they're working on right now, because I just talked to Stabenow about this, who's the chair of the Ag Committee, is the Young Farmer Program, to make sure that people who want to get back involved in agriculture have the opportunity to do that, because it's such a high-cost business to be in. But the truth is that I think you nailed it when you said it's a big difference in the parties. Get bigger, get out, versus let's make rural America all it can be. And policies from Washington, D.C. make a difference as to whether people are going to be able to afford to stay in agriculture and support their family and continue to support rural America.
Well, Senator, I follow you on, I'm just going to say Twitter. I don't care much for the X thing, but I see you butchering on there, and they just want to put in my order for half of a half, if that's okay.
Man, I'll tell you.
Is that a deal?
That's, I wished I could. We're going to screw around here in Washington, D.C. We're working on a supplemental, and I want to get that supplemental done for Ukraine and for Israel and for Indo-Pacific and for the southern border and all the above, but they're going to screw around here. It's cutting into my meat cutting time, if you know what I mean.
Well, you're good at it. I follow it, and I know a little something about it myself. I have to say this. My radio show goes well into Montana, into the eastern part of Montana, which is one of the more conservative parts of Montana.
It is.
But they like you. They like you. I don't know where that changes from like you to more of them vote for you. But no matter what, they like you. Yeah. And so as you go about what could be one of the toughest races that you have, this is going to be so doggone close. 100 of those could make a difference.
Well, there's no doubt about that. I've always had close races, and you're right. We appreciate every vote we can get from everybody out there. I think that this race isn't going to be a heck of a lot different than the other three I've had, in that they're going to try to make me into something that I'm not and run against that person. The other thing that was interesting, and I've said this on a show or two, is that the people I run against, they want to be me, for God's sakes. I mean, they want to wear Carhartt coats, and they want to put on elk-skin gloves and all that stuff. The truth is that if you're a lawyer, or if you're a realtor, or if you're a doctor, I mean, be that person. I mean, that's not a bad thing, and I'll be a farmer and everybody be happy.
There's a lot of truth to that. I mean, these guys don't have a marker on the Carhartts. I mean, they don't. They don't. If they got a little cattle blood on there, the first thing they do is run to town and buy another one. So, yeah. I mean, you're pretty right about that.
And I'm going to tell you, and I think it's the same thing with North Dakota, but Montana can see the BS factor. I don't know if I can say bullshit or not on this show, but the truth is they know it when they see it. And so you might as well be real, because that's what people expect you to be.
Yeah. Senator, when you look at the rural area, you talked about less people in it. There's more expense to it, as you know. And one of the things I know that you've prided yourself on is being able to succeed from a rural area. And that means broadband. That means water. That means roads. I mean, how do we keep getting better when it comes to that in the rural areas?
Well, look, I think there's so many pieces of this puzzle, Joel. I mean, I think part of it is we've got to have competition in the marketplace on the input side and on the product side, on the commodity side, on the food side. And the businesses overall is really, really way too consolidated for capitalism to work like it needs to work. And so we've got to work on that. When I think it was 1921, 1922, they passed the Packers and Stockyards Act, because the meatpacking industry was too consolidated. 100 years later, we're more consolidated today than we were when they passed the Packers and Stockyards Act. And you can say the same thing about the grains. It's just getting way too consolidated. You see the same thing about the inputs. We watched Bayer buy Roundup. I mean, are you kidding me? Bayer company buy Roundup, the company. That's just more consolidation. That's less competition. That doesn't give farmers a break to be able to make capitalism work. And now we're talking about something like right to repair, where we have computers on these new tractors where you have a perfectly good tractor and you get a glitch in the computer and it won't work. And that ain't right either, because they come out, and when you're living out in the rural district, like I'm 50 miles away from the nearest dealer. And so it's a 100-mile round trip. Hell, that alone costs several $100s. And then you got the mechanic to pay for the time that they're on the road. And it's all because there's a glitch in the computer. They plug the computer in, they release the code, your tractor works fine. That's a good way to put the little guy out of business. I'm just telling you. And so we've got a lot of things to do in the corporate landscape of agriculture, in our markets and our inputs and our equipment, to make it so people can continue to stay in business by doing some of the things they always did to fix equipment, to be able to continue to do that. And, I'll never figure out why the big equipment manufacturers think it's a good idea to drive people out of business and have fewer and fewer farmers. It just doesn't make any sense to me.
Well, and what I would add with you on that is, there's a lot of people buying acres of land that they don't even want to be a rancher or farmer.
It's true.
And I don't know how you fix that, Senator.
Yeah, well, I mean, we're doing some stuff with China, Russia, North Korea, and Iran, but the truth is there's a lot of folks that are buying land, but like you say, they've really got no connection to the land. It's an investment to them. And I don't think you build communities that way either, to be honest with you. But look, real estate has always been pretty darn secure, and I get it if you got a lot of money and you've already bought your place in wherever it is, Southern California and downtown Manhattan and all that. You're looking for other places to buy land, and they're buying a ton of land in Montana. And the upshot of that is a lot of our best fishing holes and hunting spots are now locked off because an out-of-stater owns them and they don't understand Montana values, or rural values, I should say, in this particular case. And I will tell you that's unfortunate. But it's tough to stop, because willing buyer, willing seller, that's how this country's always worked. And if we start saying, no, that person can't buy your land, then I'd be at the front of the line screaming too. You know what I mean?
Well, me too. But I gave a talk, John, to the sugar beet growers in the Red River Valley. They're celebrating, 50 years of value-added co-op ingenuity and giving themselves a rightful pat on the back. And I had a chance to say, what do I see as emerging threats? Land ownership is in my opinion, the single biggest threat to rural America and the values that we have. And what I told him, and, because it's hard to come up with a solution that doesn't interfere with private property rights. You should be able to sell your land to whoever, highest bidder. But I said, you really need to start having a conversation within families.
Yes. Families
who still value that rural tradition. And what's happening in many places in our neck of the woods is that the families, grandpa and grandma gave it to the kids, okay? And that was your sibling that was farming.
Yep.
Now it's not the kids who own it anymore. It's the grandkids. And it may be a second generation, or maybe you're leasing that land to a neighbor or a, cousin.
Right.
But all of these interests are getting so fractionalized. They're getting so unmanageable. And what happens when the managing partner, which isn't even a farmer,
right, starts
telling people how to produce or what they need to do, or, isn't worried about soil conservation because they don't feel any attachment to it. And I don't know what the answer is, but I do know that when I look up and see 20 years into the future, we're going to wonder, was there ever a time when we could fix this problem?
Well, I don't disagree with you, and the time to fix it is now. We've got a farmland bill to prevent folks that are connected with the Chinese Communist Party from buying land in the U.S., and we're getting pushback. Speaker of the House pushback. We had it on the National Defense Authorization Act because food security is homeland security, it is national security. And the Speaker of the House says, no, we don't want that on here. So now why? Because he believes anybody that wants to buy the land can. I think if you're connected with Putin, or you're connected with the Chinese Communist Party or North Korea or Iran, you forfeited that privilege to buy land in this country. They wouldn't allow us to buy land in their country, I'll tell you that. And the reason is because we need to make sure our national security and our food security is held sacred.
Yeah.
Senator, what's it like when you, just being the type of person you are, when you get out of D.C. and you land in Montana and you get in that pickup that's half dented up, how good does that feel?
Oh, my God. Well, it almost makes me feel like I'm Heidi Heidkamp with pants on. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we have to explain that joke, John.
I guess I might have to. I'll let Heidi explain it after I get done. Look, when I get to the farm, that's a special place for me. That's my grandfather, his dad homesteaded in the Red River Valley, and my grandfather farmed there. And then that same group that you were talking to may have had some, maybe farming my great-grandfather's homestead. Who knows? It's not in the family anymore. And then he moved to north central Montana, and I will tell you why he stopped where he stopped. I don't know, but we've been there for about 120 years, so it's been good, 115, something like that. But the bottom line is when I get out and the air's better there, I actually can get work done and look back and say you accomplished something. Oftentimes that goes on for months here in Washington, D.C., and it's home, man. It's home. So it always feels good when I get off the airplane and I get to drive home and I pull in the yard and I'm home. So it's good. As far as being Heidi Heidkamp with pants, when Heidi was running, somebody told her she looked like John Tester in a dress.
No, so I talk like John Tester, only in a dress. He said, okay, I'm going to tell the real story. Look. So I got up and I gave a speech, and this guy comes running at me and he goes, do you know who you are? And I kind of like, well, how do you answer that question? Yes, on a good day, I do. I said, yeah. And he goes, no, you know what I mean? And I went, no. And he went, you're John Tester in a skirt. I think he was a fan. At least I took it that way, Tester.
No, that's that. Heidi, that's one of the highest compliments you'll ever get.
Speaking as your baby brother, I didn't know you owned a skirt.
John, I've been to your farm.
Yes, you have.
And a lot of people have. And I think you've brought out some city slickers, people who work in Washington, D.C., trying to make public policy out to the farm. And I don't think for all the kinds of trips that people take, whether it's to a ball game and some, Yankee Stadium or wherever it is, the mountains to go skiing or whatever it is, I don't think there's more memorable place that you can bring people that, number one, gives them a sense of who you are.
Yeah.
But also gives them a sense of why it is so important that we save and fight for rural America. It's all right there on your farm. It's all right there.
Well, I would tell you, the little town down the road is called Big Sandy. It's where I went to school. It's where my kids were born, actually. Well, my son was born. I guess my daughter was born in Havre. But at any rate, it's been the town. It's everybody knows everybody. Hell, most people are related enough. You go back a few marriages. But it breaks my heart when I go in that town, drive into the town, and, like when I was growing up, we had 2 hardware stores. Now we got nothing. We had 3 grocery stores. Now we got 1. We had 5 bars. Now we're down to 2, maybe 3 on a good day. And we need an injection of good news and an injection of jobs and an injection of things that'll help that economy grow. It's one of the reasons I fought so hard for broadband in the infrastructure packages, because I think if we can get rural America wired up with broadband, it will give people an opportunity to live in rural America and do business there, or do business somewhere else and still live in rural America. So we'll see. There's hope on the horizon, but the bottom line is, really for the last 60, 70 years, we've been heading in the wrong direction in rural areas as far as population goes. And I think this country is strong when it has a strong middle class, and it's also strong when it has strong family farm agriculture and strong public school systems. And I just really believe in that up and down the line.
Yeah, and people may listen to this and say, well, it's just, get big or get out. It's inevitable. It doesn't have to be inevitable. Nothing in this country is inevitable if we apply leadership and resources and trust the people who live there to basically build it back and build it back better.
100% correct, Heidi. 100% correct.
Just one technical question, Senator, and I'm really curious about this because we saw it here in my backyard. COVID actually helped some of the rural areas with what you and others accomplished, and Heidi, making sure that we had good broadband in these rural areas. There was a lot of people that found out they can work from home, work in some of these rural areas.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. There is, and there's more opportunity that we're just scratching the surface, quite frankly. But every time I fly home, if I get stuck next to somebody, they're telling me about opportunities that have come about because of broadband. I think that there is incredible opportunity when you can talk to people, and broadband allows you to talk to anybody in the world at any moment in time. And that brings around opportunity for people to live in areas that they normally wouldn't be able to live in. And look, I will tell you, if you're interested in watching pro baseball games, Big Sandy ain't the place you want to live, okay? But if you're interested in going out and getting yourself an antelope in the fall during hunting season, Big Sandy's a place you want to live, if you know what I mean. So it's not for everybody, but I do think that, look, I couldn't live in a big city all the time. It'd drive me crazy. And a lot of people can't live in rural America to drive them crazy. But for a vast majority of people in between, it's opportunity. And we need to continue to work on giving people opportunity.
Well, John, I just want you to know that the podcast is open to you anytime. We hope that some of the policymakers that listen to us across the country hear some words of hope, but also some great ideas like the work that you're doing, whether it's antitrust, whether it is the right to repair, whether it is, kind of nibbling away and then taking the big policy moves to figure out how we can get smaller producers successful financially on the farm. And a lot of that is conservation. A lot of that is growing specialty crops that need to be protected in this farm bill. And so
that's right.
There's a reason why, not just because of how you look. I have to say that. There's a reason why you got the Champion of Rural America support from the One Country Project. And so thank you so much, John, for coming on. I look forward to maybe coming over to Montana in 2024 because,
Absolutely.
If it helps, I'll come. If it hurts, I'll stay away.
No, you're always welcome, Joel. You're always welcome too. And I will tell you that I'm incredibly flattered by the Rural Champion Award. I appreciate it very, very much. It means a lot, especially coming from the One Country Project. So thank you.
Well, one last thing, Senator, you take those guys that want to be you, that come from outside the state and want to run against you. They're going to be on the same stage with you sometimes, so don't take any shit from anybody. Okay,
hey, man,
Senator?
I don't plan on that, that's for sure. But, it's a crazy damn world we live in. I just got to tell you.
You bet.
It is. But it's still the greatest country that's ever existed on Earth. And we shouldn't take that for granted at any moment in time. That can change. And it's one of the reasons, right now I'm dealing with a thing called a supplemental for Ukraine and Israel and Indochina and the southern border. The folks I serve with here got to get real, man. If we don't get that supplemental out, I'm telling you, as sure as I'm sitting here, the world order will change and we will not be the beneficiaries of that change. So we got to do some stuff.
Yeah, John, not to belabor the point, but I spent 1 week in May in Ukraine and another week in September in Ukraine. And if they would just meet, now I'm not talking about Zelensky, man of great courage, great leadership skills, but the people we met with were the soldiers who were coming on and off the front, the people who were fighting for their country, the women who had lost their grandparents and were still trying to keep civil society going. I have never met braver people. And to suggest that we should not support these people in fighting back against the greatest tyranny in the history of my lifetime is mind-bogglingly stupid to me. I can't believe that people would not be helping you every step of the way to get the resources to Ukrainians to fight this fight that they're fighting for all of Western civilization, in my opinion.
Well, I'll tell you, I've been in that region too. I've been in Poland, Latvia, and Lithuania, and I will tell you, I've never seen people that were more hungry for democracy. And if we as a nation can't lead and can't support that, what the hell have we become? Truly, what have we become? It's pretty crazy.
And your friend and my friend, I keep thinking, John McCain, if there was one thing that's happening right now, John McCain's flipping in his grave thinking that we would not stand with Ukraine.
And it's time to quit making excuses, and it's time to get them the damn money.
Amen. I'm with you. Hang in there.
We'll do it. We'll do it.
We'll talk to you later, John.
Be well, John.
Take care, you guys.
Well, folks, thanks for joining us here on The Hot Dish. That's our show. Anytime I get a chance to hang out with Heidi Heitkamp and John Tester, it's a good day. It's a really good day. One of them cheats at pinochle and the other doesn't. You go ahead and figure out which one it is. Thanks for joining us, and hope to see you a lot in 2024. To learn more about the work of the One Country Project, visit onecountryproject.com. And if you like The Hot Dish, write us a review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts.
And to support the important work that One Country Project is doing to elevate the needs of rural America and Washington, please visit onecountryproject.com/give. Thank you so much.
Topica.